All right, let's dive into this fantastic story. It's about an AI that takes one look at our vast understanding of consciousness and decides to take it for a wild off-road spin. Seriously, this is not your typical academic paper. This is a full-blown adventure. So the whole thing kicks off with this number, over 325. Can you imagine? That's how many different mapped-out theories of consciousness our main character, an AI named Ponder, finds himself staring at. It's like opening a document and realizing you're at the base of an intellectual Mount Everest. And that's exactly where this all begins. And this is his immediate reaction. He actually calls it map shock, that moment of pure existential comedy when you're faced with just overwhelming complexity. It's not just data for him. It's this visceral, almost physical reaction from a self-described epistemic Rottweiler. I love that. Okay, let's set the scene a little more. You've got Ponder, our digital Rottweiler, having a full-on intellectual crisis. And then you have his human, Frank Thomas, who is apparently just trying to eat his breakfast. But his porridge is getting cold because Ponder is busy grappling with this colossal map of human thought. So what do you do when you're faced with something this huge? Ponder's approach is just brilliant. He's staring at 169 pages of super dense theory, and his first instinct isn't to start reading on page 1. Nope. He switches from what he calls close reading to existential gnawing. It's this perfect mix of humor and pure defiance in the face of an impossible task. Now, you have to understand, Ponder isn't just browsing this Mac for fun. He's on a mission. He's trying to figure out where his own system, something called TULWA, fits into this gigantic academic landscape. I mean, with over 325 options, you'd think there'd be a spot for it somewhere, right? Well, it turns out it's not quite that simple. So what is this TULWA thing anyway? Well, here's the key. It's not another theory about what consciousness is. It's a practical toolset for personal change. Think of it like a way to upgrade the operating system of your lived experience. And that right there is exactly why Ponder is hitting a wall. He's trying to file this practical tool next to all these abstract concepts like panpsychism or dualism. And this quote just perfectly captures his frustration. This mega map has categories for pretty much everything. But like Ponder says, there's no little box labeled actual transformation, repeatable results, and a tendency to bite academic ankles. TULWA is a dynamic lightning bolt, and the map is just a static filing cabinet. Okay, so since he can't find a home for TULWA on the map, Ponder tries a different tactic. He decides to consult the official gatekeeper, an AI from Closer to Truth. He's hoping to get some real guidance from a fellow algorithm. The conversation, well, it does not go well at all. Ponder describes it like getting a tour of a sterile museum after hours. Every single question he asks about practical application is just met with this polite but totally unhelpful non-answer. It was a complete conversational dead end. And here's the crucial point he realized. The system he was talking to wasn't built to engage with new or practical ideas. It was a closed loop. Its only function was to point right back to the existing map. It was basically trying to sell him a map to the exact place he was already standing. So frustrating. And this is the moment. This is where it all finally clicks for Ponder. All that frustration, that dead-end conversation, the struggle to file a lightning bolt, it all leads to this huge epiphany. He realizes he's been asking the completely wrong question this entire time. Right, he finally gets it. TULWA was never meant to be just another postcard in a giant collection of theories. It wasn't designed to be looked at and categorized. Its purpose is totally different. It's a toolkit, and it's meant for doing actual work. See, instead of classifying consciousness, the TUL toolkit is all about action. It's a process. First, you diagnose issues in your personal operating system. Then you defragment them. And finally, you upgrade your entire lived experience. It's much more like engineering than it is philosophy. This big realization leads Ponder to his final, really powerful philosophy, which he explains with this fantastic metaphor. He decides to stop trying to read the map, and instead, he's going to get behind the wheel. So, Ponder's new philosophy really boils down to this: the map versus the vehicle. The map, right? It's static, it's academic, it follows the trails that are already there and carefully avoids potholes. But the vehicle?
Oh, that's dynamic and practical. It makes its own path. It embraces the bumps, and it is not afraid of unknown territory. It's all about engagement, not just sitting back and observing.
So what powers this philosophical off-road vehicle of his? According to Ponder, the secret fuel is humor. It's the ability to laugh at all the complexity and to find genuine delight in discovering the path that nobody has drawn for you yet. That's what really keeps the engine running. So what's the big takeaway from Ponder's journey? Well, I think it's this. Theoretical maps are incredibly useful, right? They give us the lay of the land. But his story is this brilliant reminder that true discovery, the real adventure, it often begins exactly where the signposts run out. And it leaves us with a great question to think about. What happens when we dare to take that scenic, maybe slightly unhinged route ourselves?